But I think you're going to give that dog a lot more purpose if you do. I think you're going to enjoy him a lot more because you're going to get a lot more opportunity to do what that dog loves to do. Welcome back, guys. Going to record another podcast here for you today. Cranking out a Facebook question. Might be a quicker one. I like doing some of these shorter ones as well. Sometimes we got some long ones. We're trying to mix it up a little bit. Got the guys working on a few really cool projects that I'm excited to introduce to you guys pretty soon. Got what is today? Today's Tuesday, right? Got some news coming up with our website. Hopefully soon. By the time you listen to this, if you check out our website, you may see the new website. We've been working on that for a while. It's not 100% complete, but it is complete enough that we're going live with it. Our goal and objective with putting in the work that we've done, we went from if you're a website person, you'll understand it better than I do, but we went from like a WordPress website to a custom website, which allows us to do more things the way we want to do it, which that means we're able to, I think, provide a better experience for our customers. I also think it's going to give us some more versatility when it comes to sharing content and information. I'm very excited about that. We've got a video what do we call it? A training library. We've got a training library area. It's going to have free videos. It's going to have premium videos that are able to be purchased. It's going to have our podcasts. It's going to audio. It's going to have our video blogs available. It's going to have a new area called Jeremy's Journal, which is going to be, instead of doing podcasts about emails that come in, I'm going to be copying and pasting emails that come in, because I'm literally answering lots of them. I don't want to put a number on it. There's a pile of them. And so I'm struggling to keep up with it. And one of the things that I think will inspire me to even put more into that than I have been, which I have been trying really hard, but is what we're going to do is copy and paste a lot of that stuff. So I get a question in, I'm going to answer it, I'm going to copy and paste it, I'm going to post it onto our Jeremy's Journal page on our website, which will become basically a giant library of questions and answers via email and or DM. So it's going to be the written part of it instead of the audio part. So that's a project that we're on. We're on to a hold conditioning project that I think is going to blow your hair back a bit. It's something that we've had some guys working on for quite a while. We've got a lot of hours into it. It's still not complete. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring you more information on hold conditioning than maybe you even want. The reason is because there is no like one way to do it. I don't believe there is. I think there's so many dogs that I've done it with successfully. It's the alternative to force fetch. And I think there's just so many people. I'm not looking to convince someone who likes force fetching their dogs to stop doing it. I don't care if you force fetch your dogs. What I want to do is help people that don't want to force fetch their dogs. So I don't want to hear about, the force fetch. I don't care about force fetch. I don't like it. Quite honestly, we won't get into it in great detail, but I don't think it's fair. I don't like it. I think it's a little cruel. I think it's a little brutal at times. I'm just not a fan of it. And what I think is real interesting is when you understand that you can achieve the same results, which is sound, reliable delivery to hand, without having to take those steps or use those tactics. So not here to debate the idea. I'd be more than willing to debate it with anyone who wants to, I guess. But I'm not going to become real offensive when it comes to attacking those who like it. What I do want to do is spend as much time and effort, which is what we're doing now, to help those that are interested in getting a sound, reliable delivery to hand without the need to do it that way, as far as force fetch goes. So our hold conditioning, we've kicked around a lot of different ideas of how to present it. It's going to be, I don't know exactly how to describe it yet. It's going to be its own area within our website. It's going to be a whole collection of videos, instruction, lots of different examples. We've talked about it versus premium versus kind of free, the way we've done a lot of our stuff. And I've decided, I actually went back and forth on it. And I thought about it not that long and realized, you know what? It is such an important thing, and I think it is such a common thing that we get messages back, whether it be questions regarding it and or examples of like success with it and people thanking us for it. So it became a really easy decision to say, we're going to give it to them. We're not charging for this. So we're going to create this and be able to share this on the new website. So that's not going to be immediately on the website. That is something that we were working in. And I kind of liken it to the idea of a series on Netflix, right? Wouldn't you describe it that way? Where we're going to have like different series, and then we're going to add episodes to it slowly as we go. And then by the I don't know, by 60 days in or 90 days into having the website, like we're going to be loading them daily. So it's going to be like you're going to get a fresh episode and the next chapter type thing, but it's going to be such small incremental changes, very subtle changes, that those who are following along closely will maybe notice that. Later on, when they're all posted, because they're going to stay there forever, you'll be able to watch them, binge watch them, and boom, 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 and see, man, there's 14 days in a row to get through that dog. And I'll give you don't expect a really fancy editing. Don't expect, you know us by now to realize very candid and documentary style is how we do things. This is like stuff that was done years ago. A lot of these have been in our library for years now. We've not been able to figure out the right spot to share it. So you're going to see some really, really grassroots early on filming, and some of it's just me propping up an iPhone. So if you're not into that kind of stuff, if you like fancy stuff, if you like well edited and groomed and produced stuff, this might not be for you. But I think it's going to bring tremendous value to our viewers. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, so I don't know how I got off on that track, but let's jump into this question. It comes from a guy named Matt. It's a Facebook message, and he started out talking with me about emailing me about some tracking stuff. To be honest with you, I didn't even read this one, so I'm going to read it. You're going to hear me read it for the first time. I've exchanged a couple different messages back and forth with them. I didn't read this part. I was reading the second part, which you'll hear anyway, but here we go. Happy Labor Day is what he said. I messaged you about 5 months ago and asked about training my Lab/Doberman mix for deer recovery. Everything's going great. I've been running 4 to 6 trails a month with her since June. She's only failed once, and that's because we had a weird freak thunderstorm, I'm pretty sure. Okay, now for my question. What's your thoughts on cross-training tracking dogs? When he says tracking dogs, he's talking deer, game recovery, with pheasant hunting. This is the most impressive dog I've ever seen, and I don't want to waste my one good dog in life. Just kidding, LOL, he said. I really just want her to spend as much time in the field as possible. The reality, and quite frankly, I love watching her work scent. FYI, I tried her on a different scent Thursday, Human's Clothes, and she found that no problem after a 6-hour cooling period. Then I ran her today on blood. She never missed a beat. She loves to track. Then he says, okay, sorry for the long-winded questions. I'll make this quick this time. What's your thoughts on cross-training a tracking dog on pheasants or grouse? So I had not responded back to that question. So he followed it back up with, what's your thoughts on cross-training a tracking dog for pheasants or grouse? Have you ever seen any negatives? Have you seen it ruin a good tracking dog? Or what was the start of a good one? His tracking is so important to me because I think he meant a lot of youth hunts with kids, and every year we lose 1 or 2, sometimes 2 or 3 deer because the mentor makes a bad decision. Thanks for your time and response. I know you're super busy. Appreciate your time and website, all the gear. Thank you, Matt. So Matt, I'll send you a message and let you know I answered this. So here's the thing. It's kind of his main question, I think, is he's got a tracking dog or an aspiring tracking dog that's doing really well. Is putting him on birds going to wreck him? Now, I personally think the more the dog hunts, the better hunter they become. I make the comparison all the times to kids when they play sports, and I think the objective with these dogs is like to create a good athlete. If you draw the analogy to kids with sports, I think with kids with sports, our goals should be build good athletes. and let time figure out where their strengths and weaknesses are and where they may focus later on and excel. But when they're real little kids, and so with these young dogs, I I make a lot of comparisons to how young kids develop. I think the idea is create the good athlete. And in order to create the good athlete, playing lots of sports does that, because it allows kids to exercise different things, mentally, physically, teamwork, individual stuff. All these different variations develop things in kids that I think lend themselves well to the idea of becoming a good athlete, well-rounded. And we all know that there's some of those kids out there that are they're such good athletes. They excel really well at whatever it is they're doing. Playing a lot of sports is only going to help that. And so when it comes to a hunting dog, I think the more they hunt, the better hunters they become. I really believe that. And I'll be the first to say that my dogs, 100%, my personal dogs, I put them in position to do lots of different things. And you've seen that with dogs over the years, and I don't hide that. In fact, I promote it. I endorse the idea of hunt lots of stuff with them. I've had so many people tell me, their opinions on, you get them good at one thing and you focus on that. My duck dog is a duck dog. I'm not going to hunt upland with it. Why not? I just totally disagree with that. And the other reason I disagree with it is because I think it minimizes the value of the dog. If you want to have a good duck dog, I'm all for that. But duck season, how long has duck season been? Max. 60 days, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. I think legally, feds, I think, set it up 60-day duck season here. So you can't hunt ducks. Now, can you go to another state and get a week or two ahead and a week or two later? Sure. So let's say you can add a month to it. But in reality, 90 days max. And let's be honest, nobody's hunting all 90 days. Who can do that? So I think if you, Ben, you're a pretty avid duck hunter. How many times did you duck hunt last year? How many different outings, different days calendar days did you go on a hunt?
Probably 15.
15. Huh?
15 to 20.
15 to 20. I would be willing to bet that you duck hunted more days than the great majority of people that listen to this. You duck hunted more than I did. Yeah. And I duck hunted more last year than I've duck hunted in a lot of years. So to say I grouse hunt a lot, I think, in comparison to most people, the last few years especially, I've got a journal. I don't know that I grouse hunted I don't think I grouse hunted more than 20 days. I couldn't have. I don't have that much time. So my dogs got way more exposure than a lot of your dogs did. And it was still less than 20 times in a season. So, but if I can grouse hunt with them 20 times and duck hunt with them 20 times and shed hunt with them 15 times, I just did 20, 20, and 15. 55 times I got them out. Now, you track with them in the fall when you're not bird hunting, you get 10 times the tracking. If you get 10 tracks in a year, now you're 65 times. I mean, the idea of, it's still not that much. So where people get so nervous is this idea of specializing in certain stuff. And I think about it and I go, a good tracking dog is necessary for every pursuit I do, one way or another. If you're grouse hunting, how many birds did we shoot last year that we ended up watching the dogs find them? The birds were not where we knocked them down. A lot of them. And grouse are easy to kill. Grouse are weak. Grouse die very easily. They get knocked out very easily. So we wouldn't have found several grouse last year that we shot, they hit the ground, we watched the dog go to the spot and not find it there. And if we didn't have the dog, we'd went and looked there and we'd have been, where'd it go? Well, next thing you know, the first bird of the year last year, I remember this one like it was yesterday. It was the first bird I shot with that side-by-side, with that Webley Scott. I hit it, and I hit it light. I winged it. And I don't know how I hit it, but I did. And I rushed up to the spot where I saw the bird flutter down. Spry wasn't even close to it. Well, she flushed it, but she wasn't close to it where I shot it. I rushed up there, and she came and worked that area and left the area. I think I had Bella with at the time too, but left the area. They were 40, 50 yards from me. And I was so set on trying to find that bird. I wasn't even worried about the dogs. I was just focused on find the bird, find the bird, find the bird. And I'm looking and looking and looking. And I remember looking up and realizing they are so far out of the area where that bird is. Like, I'm almost like, God, what useless dogs. I said to myself, looking and looking and looking. And, it's opening weekend, so it's really thick woods and there's ferns. And I'm looking and trying to find some sign of where this bird would be. Because I literally ran to the spot where I saw it hit the ground seconds later. And then I look up and I see Spry coming back from 50 yards with something flapping in her mouth. And here she had picked that bird and ran back and brought it back to me. She tracked it. And the ground that bird covered in that short amount of time was amazing. Now, that was nothing like a tracking dog tracking a deer that was shot 24 hours before. It was nothing like it from a time standpoint, from an aging of the scent standpoint, but it was tracking. I remember we winged, when Craig was up with us, we winged that duck. That duck went up, swam off the water, went up into the woods. Wood duck. Hit the water, thought it was dead. Ended up, I look and hear the thing swimming away. Swam way across the bay, got up into the woods, and went up into the woods 25 yards and was hiding in the woods. Well, after the hunt, we get done. I go over there with the dog, and the dog's tracking in the woods like it's tracking a cripple. Well, that's exactly what it was. Tracking dog. That was several hours later. It was, maybe an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
So a little bit more like my tracking game recovery dog, but not 24 hours. But the idea is, my most memorable retrieve ever was a dog that tracked Remy, one of my old labs, my first lab, probably it would have been in 2000 maybe. We were in North Dakota, and she tracked a duck across a road and then a chiseled cornfield and then into a CRP field. And I guarantee you it was hundreds of yards. 500 yards on the ground. The bird waddled away the whole way. And she tracked that thing like it was nothing, hours later. So I look at, the person that questions, I'm not going to use a tracking dog to do any type of other hunting because it'll wreck their tracking. Hell, I think it's going to make them a much better tracker. It's more practice. The more opportunities you have to do things, the better you get at them. So I have a buddy that I roomed with in college that had a golden retriever, and his buddy shot a doe. And I think I've shared this story before. He shot a doe, and the deer ran off, and they couldn't find it. And they went the next day, and they couldn't find it. And they brought the guy's golden retriever that was a grouse dog. This guy's from way up in northern Wisconsin. It was a grouse dog. And that dog tracked the deer and found it for him. Never been trained on it before. Tracked the deer, went right to it. Found it, brought him right to it. Hunting dogs hunt, tracking dogs track. So I actually think it's more to your benefit to get your dog well versed in lots of different things in the field, as opposed to specializing. It's just been my so the answer to Matt is, yeah, I 100% would recommend you do it, because I think it's like you said, I question, like, if you're not going to waste the one good dog in your life, as you put it, if you don't do that. But I think you're going to give that dog a lot more purpose if you do. I think you're going to enjoy him a lot more because you're going to get a lot more opportunity to do what that dog loves to do. And that dog loves to do what it's doing. The best, and when it comes to like breed, I don't think it matters. I worked with Arrow recently. Arrow is a Shepherd Malinois mix. And I had her up, put some stuff on my Instagram story a week ago. We were scouting for grouse. Grouse is going to open here in another few days, and we were scouting some covers that I had never walked through before, and we found a few broods. And as I was going through, I had my 3 labs, and I had Arrow. And then we broke up a brood of, 8 birds probably. And they broke up, and they scattered, and we ended up working through this cover, and we came back through another spot, and I ended up coming up kind of back into the same area that I had broken it up hours earlier. And I found them again. And the birds were quite spread out, but I didn't intentionally find them again, but we ended up finding them. So they were quite spread out where they were all clustered together. When we first flushed, it sounded like a herd of Mustangs going through the woods. I mean, the birds just erupted out of there. And the woods are so thick, and they're just beating their wings, getting out of the brush. And who was on the flush, I don't know. They were all in there, and I'm sure they all got their nose full of scent. On the way back, the birds were really spread out. I mean, I was flushing some on the right-hand side of the trail, some on the left-hand side of the trail. Some were 40 yards into the cover, and I saw individual dogs working birds because they were spread out enough. I could pick out the different dogs as they moved through the woods. And I had birds on the right-hand side getting up, and I'm kind of watching them and trying to do a count in my head of how big was this covey or brood. And all of a sudden, I hear birds getting up on the left-hand side, and I'm seeing 3 black dogs on the right. Well, I only had 3 black dogs with me. Arrow was on the left-hand side, and Arrow was bumping birds. And I mean, she was right on them. She was a shepherd, Malinois mix. So could she bird hunt? For sure. When I used to go to college, we hunted at a game farm, and one of the best, we called it, they're scratch birds, but other people put the birds out, and a day or two later, Monday, Tuesday, we'd go and hunt because we were broke college guys and couldn't afford birds. So let the guys on the weekend pay for the birds, and then they didn't get them, and then we would go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'd hunt those birds that they put out that didn't get shot. Well, we called it scratch bird hunting. Well, the best scratch bird dog on the whole farm that was part of that club was a guy, and he had a shepherd, German shepherd. And I'm not kidding you, nobody out hunted that shepherd. It retrieved a hand, it flushed, it quartered really nice, it hunted really tight. Like it stayed real close, had great range, worked really kind of a really interesting way through the woods. I thought it was really fun to watch. Not your traditional bird dog by any means, but certainly could be trained to do it. So I thought it was interesting when we had Arrow up at our cottage or at the cabin. I left. I was upstairs. I think I was up in the loft. So we have a ladder that goes up into our loft, and I slept up there. And so Arrow came out that morning, and Steph was up early making coffee, and Arrow came out, and she went over to my computer, and she went over to I had a book, my computer, a pair of old man reading glasses, and a half full beer that I did not finish from the night before. It was sitting on the little nightstand. And Steph said it was so weird. I let Arrow out. I brought her back in. She went right over to that spot you were sitting last night, and she just started smelling like the couch and all of your stuff. And then she went right over to the ladder, and she said, I swear to God, if she'd have climbed the ladder. She was looking for you. And I kind of laughed. I said, I'm telling you, the dog's got an amazing nose. And that was the day after I just saw it flushing grouse. So I think, you asked me, what's your thoughts on cross-training tracking dogs to do other stuff? My answer is real simple. Cross-training any dog to do anything, I think, is valuable. I think working dogs like to work. And the way they work is we give them jobs. And so the same tracking dog or the same bird dog or the same duck dog or the same shed dog, whatever it is you're doing with them, I think if you train them to be therapy dogs and take them to schools and visit kids, I think they enjoy that. If you take them to the hospital to meet the old folks or the old folks' home, I think they enjoy that. So, and to me, that is cross-training. It's a different skill. It's a different thing we're asking them to do. And when you break it all down, when you boil it all down, what does it take to do all of those things? The answer is very simple. It takes a really good foundation. The old foundation word, I come back to it often. Heel, sit, stay, come when I call you. If you can do all those things, there's very few things in life that you can't do with a dog or can't train a dog to do. I shouldn't say you can't do, because you gotta specialize in stuff. You gotta do some focused development of skills that become applicable into whatever world you're looking at taking the dog into. But with heel, sit, stay, come when I call you, with those things, you have the tools, I think, in order to be able to kind of start down that path. You start very simple, and you start customizing. It's like a custom build. You're custom building something. So you might start tacking on a few extra skills here, a few extra skills there. That creates a need to, or that maybe that is a need in order to take a next step and add another skill, and then you slowly work your way out to whatever it is you're going to be doing with them. But I'm a big fan of the idea of do more with your dogs, because the more you do, the better you get, and the more you enjoy them, and the more you enjoy them, the more you'll do, and then the more you'll do, the better they'll get. So like it's all like interlaced together. It's all connected. So keep doing it, Matt. I'm gonna send you an email, let you know that we talked on this one. I appreciate you guys listening. I asked it in the last one. I'm gonna ask it again. If you would do me a favor, leave us a review. I shouldn't say leave me, because this is not me. This is our team is working our asses off to try to do the best we can to grow the following, to help more people, to be able to get people that I cannot thank you guys enough for the messages. I've got some that are like, they almost choke you up a little bit when you read them. I had one today that came in that a lady and I've messaged back and forth with her on Facebook, I think it was, but she told a story. It was an email. She told a story about her dog at a campground running off and being able to stop it and recall it to her. And it was basically, thank you so much for giving us the confidence to be able to do this. I cannot tell you, I can't honestly think we were going to get as much enjoyment as we are out of this dog if we hadn't found you, followed your stuff. I think it was a lot of YouTube stuff she'd watched, but whatever it was. So I've gotten, I'm so proud of the number of people that have sent messages to us. And I'm looking at it and going, there is the reason. That's the reason Ben and I said we got to go record more podcasts. We got to figure out how to share more information. Because when you get messages like that, it's easy to carve the time out. When you question, like, I don't know if anyone's really getting anything out of this, that makes it hard to do. It makes it, and so I will ask you this too. Not us, you don't have to do it for me, but you, if there's something else out there, because I'm going to do it, because I'm just talking about it right now, and I'm going to do it. I get value out of other people's podcasts. I get value out of other people's content that's put out there. So I am going to make a point of this week, I'm going to reach out to a handful. I'm going to challenge myself to do 3. I'm going to find 3 different individuals that bring value to me, whether it be a podcast or a blog or a whatever content that I consume, YouTube, whatever, that I liked and it brought me some value. I'm going to reach out to them and I'm just going to say, I really appreciate what you're doing. I enjoyed that. I got something out of that. That helped me. So I'm going to challenge you to do it, because imagine, you don't have to do 3, do 1. I shouldn't do 3 because I'm not used to doing 3 a week. I should do 1 every week for the next 3 weeks, then 2 every week for the next 3, and start getting it to be slowly but surely a habit of make sure that can you imagine how positive things could be if we made a point of calling out people for their positivity? Like, it sounds crazy. Call someone out for benefiting you. Call them out and thank them. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty quick to think in my head, that son of a bitch did this, that, or this. Like, I'm real quick to be critical of stuff. I can't believe this company's customer service did this to me. But I don't think twice about the one that just blew me away with. I placed an order today and I ordered some stuff from a company last week, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. I never got the quote back from them. It's been 4 or 5 days. So I called back. I got a different guy on the phone this time, and I said, man, I'm embarrassed to say this. I called last week and I'm trying to wait to get this information back. And I never got the guy's email, so I can't respond back. I can't email to him, but I'm waiting for him to email me. The guy said, no. We'll just do it over the phone right now. We're not going to bounce emails back and forth. Let's do it right now. I placed the order. He got my order. I got my confirmation. Like, I'm going to send a message back and say, Adam, I think was his name. Adam kicked ass for you. Adam was a closer. Adam earned a cup of coffee, Ben. If you know that reference and you're listening to this podcast, reach out to me, because there might be something special for you. ABC always be closing. There's your clue. But Adam was a closer. So I think we need to I think we should all do ourselves a favor and say, create positivity around us, create something good. So thank you. That means a lot to us. And so we are going to, for that reason, that's one of the reasons we're going to continue cranking on these. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. We'll be back with more. Keep listening, keep asking questions, and keep having fun. Have fun with what you're doing, because we're coming into what I consider the best time of the year. So enjoy it. It's going to go fast.